Something which I saw in the news today, which is absolutely remarkable. You've got four political parties agreeing about a policy. Now, this is National, ACT, Labour and the Greens all think it's an absolutely brilliant idea to teach financial literacy in high schools. Probably because it's just a very good idea, and you got to ask the question, why on earth weren't we doing this earlier? Joining us on the program, CEO of Christian Savings, Dan Mazengarb. Kia ora, thanks for your time today.
Kia ora, good morning. Yes, it's amazing how money can unite people, strangely.
Exactly, and it is amazing to me that this isn't something that was taught in high schools. I mean honestly, even if it was, I might not have paid much attention. I didn't pay much attention to any of the other subjects that they taught me, and I'd probably still be in the same financial mess, but at least attempting to say, you know what, this is actually something that you might need in life, as well as literacy. How about financial literacy? How about helping people not get into debt in the first place?
Yeah, look, you make a good question as to why hasn't this been done before, and I suppose there's this invisible line between what should be taught at home and what should be taught at school, right?
Yep,
Schools
yep.
can't pick up the tab for absolutely everything. They can't teach you how to shave or, basic personal hygiene. I mean, that's what parents are for, right?
Although, anyway, yeah.
But I think what that reflects is perhaps, if it's not being taught in the home, that might also reflect the level of financial literacy we have in our parents and our adults too.
Yeah,
So it does make sense to move this from a home thing into a school thing. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it is an interesting policy, and all of the political parties say that they will be backing this one. It is going to be happening quite quickly, but look, if you were on the committee, if they said, hey, Dan, what sort of things should be in the curriculum? What are some of the must-haves? What are some of the foundations that we should be teaching people when it comes to managing money well?
Yeah, look, I think there's two categories in my mind. There's some basic concepts that you need to get your head around. Compounding interest
Yep.
is a basic. How interest rates get applied to your goods and sort of the time value of money, of borrowing money now. What does it do for what you buy in the future? I mean, depreciation is a really big one there.
Yep.
If you buy a car now, it's not going to be worth the same amount as you bought it today, unless you buy a very old car and it depreciates, like me.
Suddenly it's a vintage car, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So there are some real basic, concepts there. Savings is another one. But I think probably the more important one is the questions you should be asking. And that's the most powerful thing, is if you can give people the tools to ask the right questions, and they can solve a lot of problems. So, you hear, so many ads for buy this now and you have interest free for 30 days or,
Yep.
2 years or 3, the question you should be asking is, well, how do they make their money then? Am I paying more for this good than where I could get it elsewhere? Or, what happens if I want to pay the loan off early? What are the fees there? What are the fish hooks? Healthy degree of cynicism and critical thinking can get you a long way before you launch yourself into, taking on loans for a new car or a new product, is to know what are the fish hooks, what am I not seeing, what are they not saying? And so I think those are the two things, basic concepts, and then the questions you should be asking about your own
I do like the way
finances.
you're thinking, because honestly, if cynicism was a course that I could have done at high school, seriously, I suspect that's my ministry gift, Dan.
Yeah.
But there we go. Hey, there's also a lot of talk at the moment about the amount of financial scams that are around and how they're getting basically cleverer and cleverer at duping people. And I'd go as far to say that some of these financial scams are actually run by financial institutions and banks and credit card providers and all those sorts of things as well. Being a little bit wise as to the traps and the fish hooks, as you say, but also looking out for those actual financial scams, that when
But I think the irony there is, we're talking about financial literacy education in schools, right?
Yeah.
Do we need to be? That sounds a bit radical, but do we need to roll something out for people at the other end in the retirement homes?
Yes.
Because it is the older people who haven't had 20 years of this sort of this age of technology,
Yeah.
who are getting scammed because they grew up just in a different era. And so it's actually something that applies to all of us, whether you're young or old, is having those basic questions you should be asking when you get that text from New Zealand Post saying that there's a courier. You got to click this link to retrieve your parcel, or an ANZ or a BNZ, a bank scam. So it is something that needs to go throughout the ages. And I actually do think what might happen is if they bring this policy into place, when will we start seeing the kids educating their parents on financial decisions? And I think that could be a really good thing.
No, it could be a great thing indeed. Now, I suppose when it comes to the point that you make is, yes, they're targeting older people, not just because they're not as savvy online, but because they've actually got some money. Because part of the problem with this policy is let's teach financial literacy to people who really don't have any money and who actually aren't making any financial decisions. And this is part of the problem. I think we don't perhaps instill financial principles into our children because they don't have money, they're not paying the bills. It's really where the rubber hits the road is when you get to apply these, when you get to leave home and pay your own bills while you still know everything, as it were. That actually sometimes applying this type of knowledge may be better in a live situation where our teenagers are a little bit more financially independent, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think that's where this policy will really make good ground in those later years of high school, where people are thinking about going off and do a trade or a university degree or whatever, where it is a bit more practical. And I think it's on the case for the parents and institutions like the Parenting Place or other parenting support places to give tools maybe for the younger generation around, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. But then those specific live examples maybe in the early or late teens when kids go off and get jobs, in high school. Because I think the scary thing is that our teenagers are going to become the future parents and leaders of the country, right?
Exactly.
And so we need to throw as much as we can at them now to set them up well for the future.
And a good learning opportunity as parents, particularly when there's a lot of social and peer pressure to say, hey, you want the latest gadget, is to go, hey, that's fine. I'll support you to buy that for yourself. And hey, that's when a lot of this financial literacy really does apply. Hey, lots of good financial advice and stuff that you guys are doing within the Kingdom of God space. People can connect and find out more about the organisation if they are a Christian organisation looking for financing or they're wanting to invest in the Kingdom of God. All that available at Christian Savings, Dan.
Yep. christiansavings.co.nz. Copy of our PDS will be found on our website. Give our staff a call and see how we can help.
Yeah, no, very good indeed. Thanks very much for joining us.
No worries.